Hi YouTube, welcome to quarantine. Got a few things to show you today. So I wanted to do a video today about getting by with what you have. And wouldn't you know it, something broke. The sprayer hose for my sink broke. And you can't just use it without the hose, the water will leak everywhere. So kind of moved back my plans. Hubby had to go to Lowe's, which doesn't exactly fit with my theme today of getting by with what you have, but it is what it is. A few other things going on though that I want to show you. So I've changed up my garden plans a little bit to assume that I won't be getting anything else for supplies for my garden, which doesn't mean a whole lot because this is my third year, so I've already gotten a lot of stuff. I already got my seed order in. I've been making compost since last year, but I never did get a cattle panel to do my little arches that I wanted to do. So I redid my plan. If you've been around for a while on my channel, you probably know that I used some natural trellising last year where I grew beans, pole beans, up my sunflowers. I'm going to do a lot more of that this year using sunflowers, and I'm going to try some with okra as well because okra has a really nice thick stalk. So I'm going to try some of that this year too. I'm going to use the wood stakes that I already have, the nylon string that I used for the Florida weave last year. I took it all apart, untied all the knots, so I have all the string left over. And I'm going to use that. I have some bird netting that I bought last year, but I never used. I'm going to use some of that for trellising. And I'm trying not to buy anything. I also saved the sunflower stalks last year, and I'm going to try and make a teepee trellis out of it. That little arch got kind of beat up last year, but I've reinforced it as much as I can with some rebar. I still have to take the zip ties out and put that on there, but that's the only arch I'm going to have because I'm making do with what I have. And I've also added more quick growing crops to what I am planting. That way, in case this goes on longer than expected, we'll have food coming in as soon as possible. I also got my greenhouse done. Now this is not because of the virus, it has nothing to do with that. This was already a plan in place. I just hurried up and got it done, and actually got it done. All reused material, except the plastic. Most people don't have sheets of plastic laying around. I know I don't. I had to buy the plastic, but that's it. Everything else, we already had. This is an old bunk bed that the side rails were kind of broken and funky, wasn't good to sleep on anymore. So, kind of rigged it up enough to hold seedlings, and it's going to be my greenhouse. Almost ready. Now we just need the plastic. Plastic sheeting from Walmart. It was about $25, I think. 25 bucks. Probably bigger than what we need. Ta-da! If you're looking to do something similar, but you don't have bunk beds laying around, because let's face it, most people don't, you can take an old swing set, like that one up there in the corner, and you can cover that with plastic. Put some wood or something on the sides, and that can be your little shelf to set your seedlings on. Put plastic over top. Make sure you tuck it underneath with like bricks or rocks or something, and there you go. South facing is the best. That's what mine is. Another thing is I'm not buying any bagged compost. Even though I have new beds that I had to fill, which there will be a video about that coming out shortly. So I filled my beds with what I had on hand. I'm just using the compost I made. Now this one requires forethought. I've been working on a compost pile since last year. I started a quick compost pile with just leaves and grass cut up together through the lawnmower last year, and that's what I planted my corn in. But everything after that, all our kitchen scraps, all our weed pulling, all the old plants that we pulled out in the fall, all the trimming, unless it was like diseased, all that went into one big pile. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't even water it. I didn't cover it. I didn't turn it. I just let it sit there for a year. The top stuff, not as broken down, but I put that on the bottom of the bed. Everything underneath, though, was already finished. I mean, it was still a little chunky, but you're gonna have that with homemade compost. So I put that on the top of the new beds. I've got a little bit more to spread around just to kind of refreshen the old beds, and that's all I'm doing. And as for potting soil, I'm gonna try and keep what I have and freshen that up a little bit with the compost I made. I don't want to make all new because that would just take too much. So I'm going to try and freshen it up with some of my homemade compost. Now when it comes to cooking, there's a lot of things that you can do with what you have on hand. Like you can substitute oil for butter sometimes, or applesauce for eggs. It just all depends on what you're cooking and what you need that thing to do in your recipe. There are many meals that you can make with what you have on hand. The other night I made a meal out of rice, beans, some vegetables that we had, fresh vegetables, and cream cheese sauce. Just cream cheese and milk. And it may sound weird, but it worked. I've got some potatoes and sausage and cabbage that I'm going to mix up for another meal. So it's hard to do just throwing things together when you're a new cook, but as you get more practice, it becomes easier and easier. But you can always look up a recipe online and try to find substitutes for what you don't have. For the most part, if we're talking a dinner, most ingredients aren't necessary for a recipe unless it's like the main part. But I mean, you can make chili without beans. Some of us scoff at that idea, but you can make chili without beans. You know, if you don't have hamburger, but you have chicken, you know, make it a chicken dish instead of a meat dish, or vice versa. There are lots of things that you can substitute around and it makes no difference. In baking, it's a little bit harder, but there are still substitutions that you can make. I've heard of people using applesauce instead of eggs. You can substitute oil for butter a lot of times. If you don't have white sugar, you can use brown sugar or honey. If you don't have bread flour, you can use all-purpose flour. There are lots of substitutions that you can make. And you can also make your own things from scratch. A lot of people are going to be learning how to make bread and pizza dough and things like that from scratch. In the long run, it's usually cheaper to make things yourself, and it's a great skill to have. So we'll all be better off for it. Watch some YouTube videos. There are a ton out there that will show you how to make homemade bread or homemade pizza dough. I'm going to be making some pizza dough soon. Maybe I'll video that. All you really need to do is just try. Look up substitutes for what it is that you don't have, and see if you can find something that you do have, and try it out. For the most part, you'll be okay. And if you have kids who are picky eaters, try adding cheese. It makes a lot of difference for a lot of meals. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is cleaning products. There is a shortage on a lot of cleaning products right now. Save your wipes for your doorknobs and use vinegar for your regular cleaning in-house. There are a few surfaces you shouldn't use vinegar on, but for the most part in the kitchen and the bathroom, it's a great all-purpose cleaner. For general cleaning purposes, I use a 50% vinegar, 50% water solution. It's really great in the tub for that soap scum. It's great for my counters because the kids spill everything on them. Now, it does disinfect some. It is not as powerful as the chemical disinfectants out there, so you're not going to kill every germ with vinegar, but it does kill some. It does have some antibacterial and antimicrobial properties to it. So general cleaning in your house, you're good to go. Now, personally, I prefer to use vinegar on food surfaces than chemical cleaners because then I know it's food safe right away. You don't have to worry about it contaminating your food because it is food. And since I can a lot, I always have vinegar on hand. And now the fun part. I'm going to make this a challenge. What are you doing to make do with what you have? Either by choice, because you don't want to go to the store, or because it's just not there. If you have a channel, make a video, let me know. I will add it to a playlist. If you don't have a channel, leave me a comment. I love to hear tips and tricks on DIYs and substitutions and homemade things. I love all that. Even though it's stressful right now, we could all learn something. So share your knowledge. I'm going to tag Misty over at Mama Z's Texas Kitchen. What are you doing to make do with what you have? I hope everyone is well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay safe out there. And remember, life's an adventure. Thanks for joining me in mine. God bless.